My name is Kunal. I lead the product management team for WMS. So Arun leads the development team, so we're happy to be here to talk about our product. This is one of my favorite slides in the world. I have it twice in this presentation, so we're going to be talking about not just current functionality, but also future functionality. So safe harbor is always going to apply. So just a quick look at the agenda. Last year was the first year that I presented here. A bigger crowd, but last year I also gave a little bit more of an extensive background on WMS Cloud and where we were. So, given the fact there's some new faces, I wanted to just do a very brief background review. We'll look at 2025 here in review, what features that we've delivered, and we'll be looking ahead to 2026 as well, talking about our roadmap. Then we've got a couple of focus areas. The big topic of the day, AI, agentic AI apps, and then Redwood, which is a huge initiative for us as well. So I'll be covering the first few, Arun will be covering the others, and then we'll leave some time hopefully for Q&A. Yeah? All right, so just in general, right, when we talk about WMS, and we also talk about SCM, suite of products overall, it's really everything you need. We are always providing, delivering innovation, which you'll see hopefully in the presentation, and of course we're committed to your success. So we're same on the WMS side as all of our SCM products. And you can see our footprint, right? It's really the entire span of what you would expect from a warehouse management system. Everything from receiving, inventory management, outbound, cycle counting, and also extending out to some other areas, yard management, for example. We also are integrated with our manufacturing cloud. We have integrations with OTM, with inventory, and then you can see some of the major functional areas that we have. So we're a fully functional warehouse management system. We're in the leader squadron with Gartner, and we're always producing more and more when it comes to the product. So our value prop, scalable and growth. Back in the old days, we used to have customers that would provide us with spreadsheets on expected volumes. We've gotten rid of that. We can scale dynamically to whatever is needed from a customer perspective. We have certain customers that are very highly seasonable. When you have flowers in the States, Mother's Day, Christmas, Valentine's Day, they ramp up significantly, right? And then they ramp back down. So they don't have to provide us any kind of volume information. We just automatically do that. We have that capability at the database and infrastructure layer. And of course, our application supports that. Customer-centric fulfillment, you'll see that our product is very configurable. It goes all the way across different industries, whether it's e-commerce, retail, 3PL, et cetera. Actually, our roots do come from 3PL. If you trace it all the way back to the really, really early days in the 2010s, that's where our roots are actually from. And of course, we've grown significantly since then. Automation, that's one of the things that we support quite well. We have loads of APIs. And in fact, if you go back, 10, 11 years, we were the first major warehouse management system, like fully featured WMS system that was in the cloud that supported full-scale automation. And nobody else was doing that. We were the innovators in that area.
You should have seen the first site that went live in the middle of the desert in Peru.
Yeah.
And we were serving it from the cloud. And people, back in that day, nobody believed it. Oh, that won't work. But
yeah.
We proved that it would work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were the first there. When it comes to multi-site, complex logistics layout, we support that as well. And again, this was something that was built in from the start with our 3PL background. having different warehouses in different locations, having different companies and facilities, companies within facilities, geographically distributed. Again, this is all built in. And then end-to-end supply chain integration. We have put a lot of work into our predefined integrations when it comes to our inventory, also OTM and manufacturing. There's still a couple of open areas, but we've actually tackled quite a few of it. And we'll see that here in a second. Okay. Differentiation, cloud leadership. As we just talked, we're the first to do this first to do automation in the cloud. We're built for the cloud since day one. The components that we have are still what we use today. So a lot of, especially, our folks like Arun, who's our CTO at Logfire, just were forward-thinking enough and future-proofing our application since day one. And then you can see, again, a lot of work that we've put into just convergence with the supply chain. We talk about AI, right? It's built into the application. We have a really good ecosystem. We've put a lot of work also on that side of it. We have a lot of partners that have successful implementation, so that's really grown, which is fantastic. People, we've been in this since both of us started in supply chain logistics back in the 1900s. So we've been doing this for a long time. And then, of course, corporate. One thing that we always hear from the analysts that we speak is that, in this space, you have a lot of consolidation. You have a lot of M&A very often. And one thing that we do here is that, we're Oracle, we're stable, we're here to stay. So we've got that. All right. So when it comes to what we support everything from level 1 to level 5. So very quickly, if you're not familiar with the levels, this is how Gartner sees warehouse operations and complexity. A level 1 is just a simple stockroom. A lot of people just still have spreadsheets with level 1 facilities. So we go from level 1, and as you can see, as you advance, you have more and more complex, more features, all the way up to level 5, which is a fully automated warehouse. So what we see is that we support all levels. Now, typically, when you're implementing Oracle, it might be a good idea to use inventory for the very basic stuff. But certainly, as an application, we can support all different levels, and it's one line of code. We have other competitors out there that may have 3 or 4 products. So if you have Blue Yonder, for example, they have 4 products, right? So if you have a small facility, that they may say, go with this product versus a larger one, you go with a different one. But we have one line of code that supports all different levels. And here you can see our regions. We've really expanded. Our main region is in the States, Phoenix, Ashburn. So the first is the main data center, and then you have the disaster recovery one. So that's what the pair is. Our newest one is in Canada, and you can see we also have UK government and US government now, and then cloud at customer. There's some special requirements if you want to do cloud at customer, but we also have that available. All right, just innovation, thought leadership. So when we talk about our product, we talk about disruptive technology, and you can see this is where we have our AI capability, user experience, which we've put a lot of work into. Redwood, you'll see Arun will show some of those items. Functional innovation, of course, every release we bring new features, and then customer driven. So we have Idea Labs, which hopefully you guys are familiar with, and I know we've talked about that. We also talked about that yesterday in Srini's presentation. We really do care what customers, the feedback that they have for us, and we put a lot of that work into our roadmap. As you can see, we had over 135 features last year. So those are a lot of features, customer-facing features, and it's very easy to. It's not the easiest to keep up. There's a lot of stuff coming at you as a customer, and more than a third were driven by Idea Labs. So we again put a lot of effort into it, and as we have more innovation in certain areas, like for example on the AI front, we'll put a feature out there. Customers will start using it, start giving us feedback, and that'll feed into our next set of improvements, enhancements to that particular feature set. So this is a lot of information. There are links up there to our what's new. 135 features. Those are just customer-facing features. Of course, there's a lot of stuff in the back end where we do performance improvements, security, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot there. I'm going to go through these really quick. This is not meant to be a functional deep dive into any of these, just quickly going through some key things that we've delivered. So unit of measure is a big area for us. We've been really expanding our feature set when it comes to our unit of measure over the past few years. You can imagine it's pretty foundational to the product, right, and being able to transact in different units of measure. So in 2025, we release interclass unit of measure, and that's to take into account different packaging variations. So for those customers, especially in retail, e-commerce, you have different packaging requirements and variations. We now support that. If we look ahead, we have another big initiative to have dual unit of measure, like for example, catch weights and some of those items. We expect that to be coming up here at the end of the year or the beginning of next. Reslotting workbench. So this is another area that we've put some time into. We know of other products, some places that we've worked in the past where there's a different slotting application that you have to integrate to, and you get information and you make certain moves, physical moves within your facility. We feel like a better way of doing that is to really build that into the application. So we have this reslotting workbench, and again, as you run your business across different seasons, you have different seasonalities, you have scenarios where you have locations that are not most well utilized. It's just things that happen over time. So this is what our reslotting workbench is. It allows you to really match those items to locations. So it's really, as far as the setup is concerned, the item has a velocity code and the location has a ranking. So you have a velocity code and a location ranking of A. If they're matched, it's good, right? If they're mismatched, you can actually see that they are, where the mismatches are. For example, in the screen, and we have some metrics here as well, mismatches by location capacity. You can drill into these charts to get a little bit more information here as well. So lots of capability here, and you can also take action. So if you do find mismatches, you can actually select those areas that are mismatched, and you can generate some tasks in order to move those out, move that inventory out to drop locations, and then you can redo the put away process based off of whatever new criteria is that you want. So there's a lot of capability here. This is another area where as customers start using this more and more, we'll look to the ideas that are out there and see what else we can do around here. This is also a good area that's ripe for some of our agents that we're thinking about doing. So another area that I think we're going to see a lot of activity in.
Arun, yes. So it's still maybe a question on the workbench, right? So is this for fulfillment now only, or is that because it's very generic, you can do reslotting in multiple ways, right? Is that for picking outbound, or is it reslotting in general?
Go ahead. No, it's reslotting in general. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So you have seasonality, like for example, you have a jacket, maybe in the summertime people don't wear jackets,
Yeah.
so you would change the velocity code on that, for example. And then if that item is sitting in a location, let's say the A location is close to the dock, you can, sometimes you can't tell, right, when you're normally transacting, but in this workbench, you'll see that now that your item code is, let's say, it's not an A item anymore, it's a D item, you can find the mismatch. Yeah.
Or things might drift over time, so
Yeah.
maybe because of lack of space or something, things might have.
Yeah, that's
put
okay.
into the
Yeah,
location.
that's another good use case.
And this also works with some of our AI features that let you, we have something called basket analysis that automatically tries to reslot over time. But this is a more
Yeah.
visual way of looking at
Yeah, good.
and
Yeah,
fixing
totally.
it immediately as opposed to over time.
Inline image capture, again, you know, as we're moving to the Redwood mobile, we're adding more and more capability there. You'll see a lot of activity along those lines. Arun's going to cover a lot of this, but one thing that we did add is being able to capture images in various different transactions, and being able to capture it inline as you're working through, for example, receiving, creating LPNs or loading. We have that. In addition to that, we have several other functional areas where you can also either take pictures of a pallet or LPN, or maybe even a document, and you can attach it to the LPN itself, yeah, and then view it. All right, customer-driven ideas. Again, the idea is not to go through any of these in detail, but just to show some of the key highlights. You know, we have different areas within our WMS. We have what we call WMS Common, inbound operations as well. So WMS Common, things like serialization. We have customers, telecom customers that do a lot of work when it comes to serialization. So we've put a lot of effort into that. And from an inbound perspective, pallet seems to be the big theme. So we've put a lot of work into our pallet functionality, whether it's on the inbound side or the outbound side. So you can see a number of improvements there. Inventory operations, again, cycle counting. You know, we come across customers that have all sorts of different requirements when it comes to auditing or what have you. So this particular area, inventory operations, is a very good. It gets fed into by our idea labs quite a bit. So you can see a lot of updates here from a cycle counting perspective. And then outbound as well, you can see a lot of work with pallets that we've done, printing as well, being able to get even more detailed and refined labels and various different functionality there. So just a lot of stuff. Again, it's not meant to be go into detail, but we have a lot along these lines. Yes?
Yeah, maybe it's a basic question on Idea Lab. But
yes.
Because when ideas are getting raised, I mean, how are you interacting with the customer to make sure that whatever is described is actually really what they are asking?
Sure.
So is that, you know, hey, it's ready, here you go?
Yes.
Or, can you say something about
Absolutely. So Idea Labs, so we have the product management team and our strategy team working very closely and review the ideas that are out there.
Yeah.
Obviously, the more votes ideas have, the more we focus on that, of course. But every idea, if you will see, if you go through, it's not just a simple yes or no. Usually what ends up happening is that, because we're very transactional and there are multiple ways that you can do things, a lot of times in an idea, you'll see a couple of different threads. One of the threads you'll see is that, hey, you have an idea, hey, this is a good idea, but have you tried X, Y, and Z, which already exists? So you'll see that conversation happening between our PMs and our strategy with the customer and partner or whoever did that. So that's one thing. The second thing is that a lot of times, you know, when you have an idea, it has a lot of traction. You'll see our PMs actually reach out to customers and say, hey, let's get on a call to make sure that we totally understand exactly what's being asked for. So the idea there is that we're very interactive when it comes to these ideas, but also that, you know, when we design and implement a particular idea, we also have to make it a general use idea versus a very
No,
specific
no,
use
no.
case. So there's a lot of communication that goes back and forth on that. So we want to make sure that we handle the business case, but also make it general use.
Yeah, good, thank you.
Did I? Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Automation. I know we talked a little bit about automation. We have an extensive set of APIs that enables that. We have customers that are using lots of different things, ASRS systems, robots, AGVs, and so on and so forth. You can see kind of like how things are managed. You know, in the WMS, we can configure rules and create work, generate events. We send that across our REST layer, and we send it to devices, whatever you have, whether it's voice picking, ASRS, drones, and so on and so forth. And we do support, we have our API. So let me take a step back. Our APIs are designed to be vendor agnostic. So you can use the same APIs with different pieces of equipment, right? You can use the same MHE file for a pick-to-light or an ASRS, et cetera, et cetera. So they're meant to be agnostic of the vendors. And this is just an example of some of the folks that have some of the MHE vendors that our customers have used with our APIs. I need to say that in the right way. Yeah.
Yeah, just because of the sheet, right? Because you're highlighting maybe also some vendors that are specialized in the fulfillment area, like Knap and Schaefer and Otterlande. But sometimes they also have their own WMS, right?
They do.
And in theory, although the integration is there, how to use that, it's sometimes difficult to make sure that, it's a technology thing that we have many APIs, but what is the best functional way of maybe doing fulfillment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is maybe a standard to use also for others to not come up with every other solution, because in theory I think certain customers are looking for the same thing, but it's quite technical, right? And the APIs are there, but in theory it's kind of basic things on, hey, you have a WMS, but do you also carry inventory? No, right? We carry inventory, then we follow you, kind of things which would help if you have business flows like that, right? Because else it gets, of course, it is a very specific customer need, but the bigger players here, they do the same thing, right? On picking, typically,
Yes.
Shipping, and then I guess most of us, we run into the same individual conversations, right?
Right.
So,
I mean, there are lots of factors a customer might take into account to pick one of these, right? Business factors. It doesn't have to be like technical, functional. Of course, all of them have to have certain basic features that they support. And the WMSs that they come with, like you mentioned, are usually not full featured. So what we are trying to do is be able to support whatever the customer wants to implement. So we try to stay neutral from that. So it's between the customer, the SI, and the
okay.
companies.
Yeah.
No, got it. The reason why I'm mentioning it is that, I mean, if it becomes not clear who is the source of truth for data or certain processes, right? I mean, and this is a real example, people could say, if I use maybe WMS on the Oracle side, hey, I could choose a vendor WMS, for example, right? And that becomes a whole different area of the discussion then. But everything is about mapping these business processes, right? So, but that's, just maybe on the business overviews, right? Or making them, I would say, very detailed, right? Would help us.
So we do have documents which describe our APIs that do describe our. We do have that.
Technically, it's
technically,
but
yes.
it's more functionally driven, right?
Yeah.
What I mean. Yeah? So there is a huge documentation on technology.
Yeah.
But I think an improvement point could be the functional mapping, how to use, let's call it the top of what typically companies do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe consider
Like a white paper on
yeah,
best practices type thing.
yeah.
Yeah, there's so much variation, but yeah, that's a good point. I think it's something we can look into.
Because else the technology is done by the IT team, and then you get an IT implementation, which is actually not always maybe giving the right. Yeah, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it could lead to a technology discussion, which in theory it is, but first align the functionality, right? I would say. But okay, yeah, no,
Fair point. Yeah.
good. Thank you.
Automation. We have an API, right, that enables cycle counting through automation. You know, we actually in our AI world, we showed a video of how a drone can capture, can do cycle counting during off hours. So there's a lot of interesting ideas out there, interesting technology out there, which of course we enable. Also, when it comes to just different flows within the warehouse, what we're seeing, a little bit to your point, is that folks are, you know, we saw Schaefer, Knapp, and some of those. There are lots of different vendors now out there when it comes to automation, whether it's robotics or what have you, and in different regions as well. So one of the other points where the Idea Lab really comes into play is that some of these different pieces of automation with some of these different vendors do allow for different workflows. So for example, this is an API for a consolidated distribution flow where you can do both sides of the picking part and then the distribution part also with automation. So again, there are a lot of use cases that are out there, which is why it's a little bit difficult to have the type of white paper that you're talking about. So yeah.
Yeah, like this example, which
Yeah.
is the technology explanation, but you know,
Yeah.
it's more a functional need to explain first, right? But anyway, go ahead.
And again, this is just a little bit more detail on the consolidated replenishment flow. You know, being able to also support substitutions when they're needed. So I'm going to skip through this. Go through. I know we're kind of running up on time here. So reconciliation workbench. Arun's got a very good demonstration on this one. We have an integration layer. I think we talked about the other day. We have our standard pre-built integrations. One of the bigger challenge areas for our customers are, you know, what happens when you have issues within the integration. We have failed messages, for example. So this is another area where we've put a lot of effort into. We feel like this is also something that we do that's a little bit special, where we have a reconciliation workbench where we can actually see where the messages are going back and forth and see where the failures are and do some reprocessing. Again, you know, it's a little bit more efficient, and it does streamline your troubleshooting a little bit. Yeah, go ahead.
So is that for the IT department or is that a functional dashboard?
I mean, this is definitely something that is a bit more technical in the sense when
Yeah.
there are disconnects.
Yeah.
So when you have a new facility go live or something, that's usually when you have these type of disconnects. Over time, you would use tools like this. Like, I mean, going way back when I was doing implementations, for 6 months I remember, every day I would do spreadsheets of comparing data from the WMS and ERP and highlighting categories of problems. I think that kind of thing has not really gone away yet, and what we're trying to do, we heard from customers and partners that this is a pain point.
This is a must. Don't get me wrong. This is a must-have. So I think, but the reason why I'm asking, I think there is an additional need for this, which is the technology should
Right.
work actually regardless, right? Besides that good fair, but there is also a functional dashboard that makes sense to sometimes reconcile when even, you know, people expect that ERP Cloud seamlessly works with WMS, right? But of course it could fail.
Yeah, there are some things we'll cover a bit later with agentic apps, which might address some of what you're talking about.
Yeah, but yeah, of course, really good, right? So to have that.
So it's available in Redwood again. Arun's going to do this, and I know taking up too much time here, so I'm going to keep going. But you can see the different integration types that are available. These are our standard integration types that go between our inventory and WMS, but we also have movement requests and OTM that's associated with this as well. And again, it's a consolidated view where you can see the transactions and the errors, and then take some decisions based off of that. And then we do have some upcoming roadmap items there. We will be supporting serial track items as well. And as Arun said, this is ripe for a lot of work on the agentic AI side. So there's a lot that can be put into here. So this is our APIs. We're always working on our APIs. It's a busy slide, but we had over a dozen enhancements to our APIs, new APIs last year. We continue to keep on building those out. And then just as far as our convergence overall, these are all the transactions that we support. We say that 95% of those transactions that typical customers do, we support. We have a couple of roadmap items that we talked about yesterday, the item and the supplier definition, which will be coming up. But we spent a lot of time putting into the 95% because this is where things can go wrong. Yeah.
This is what I mean. So this goes first. This is what people understand, and then the APIs kind of follow to do the features, right?
Yeah.
And expanding on the core flows with examples like. I'm going to just give one example, right?
Sure.
Which is, in theory, if you know ERP Cloud, like a revision is well known in the e-business suite and a standard thing.
Mm-hmm.
How revision works in WMS, it's configurable, yes, as something that you can pick up, but I think it's every time maybe a customer-specific discussion where and how to use that, because the definition on an item and how you have a revision is becoming in WMS.
I think those are also items that we do have on our roadmap. I know from your viewpoint, it should have been already out there before, but it's also a matter of we are going through and trying to bridge that gap.
Yeah, by the way, it's an inventory attribute. So we have a spot for it, so it's good. But I'm just saying the point is, before people understand that, it's difficult, right? Because you would expect that it is clearly described, but I mean people have opinions on it, and then and the result it's an inventory attribute, which is I don't know if it will stay like that, but coming back to the source, which is if people come from many ERP systems, of course, Oracle ERP is one, but that is the starting point for a lot of the people, right? So just an example, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We do have some documentation that describes some best practices, but of course every scenario is a little bit different.
I think it's important.
Very quickly on the AI, Arun's going to cover this in even more detail, but the things that we already have are our fulfillment dashboard, the dynamic slotting. So basically it works off of a market basket analysis type of algorithm. So there are very often things that are ordered together, right? Printers, printer paper, ink, whatever that may be. You want to keep them, when you're putting them away, you want to keep them together. So that's one example of that. Intelligent cycle counting, looking back at historical data, seeing where you had the most amount of discrepancies. Maybe you want to create more cycle counts for those particular items or those particular locations. And then a couple of other items here, which I'm going to move through really quickly. The waves inquiry, again, this is a very easy way to summarize what happened in the wave. A lot of times when you run a wave and you have mismatches, or shorts or open allocations, you have to go through typically different logs to find out where those issues are. Well, this really provides you a quicker way of doing that, and gives you something that's very human readable, right? It's your wave summary, there's your wave number of allocations, the key events during that wave, and the conclusion. So Again, this makes it easier for troubleshooting, especially if you run really, really big waves. It keeps you from having to go through and read a whole bunch of logs. Workforce management, we have the standard workforce management within the application. You can set goals, you can measure actuals, and you can also review employee metrics. Over the past year, we've really Redwoodized some of the dashboards that we have, so you can see some available metrics. We are doing a lot of work on the workforce side of things. So this is an area that we would love to collaborate with customers on to see what their metrics are, so that we can bring that into the product. Please.
But it is included in the license or separately licensed?
It's a separate license, workforce management, yes.
So the adoption is, yeah.
And just some key areas for that we've enhanced in 2025. And roadmap, again, that's our safe harbor. These are our functional areas, and I'm taking up too much of your time, Arun, I know. So 26B, this is what we've delivered. We've got in our upcoming is the next 1 to 2 updates. So in the upcoming, we've got a lot of great stuff. You can see around the agentic app. We have some capability there. Our predefined integrations, outside processing, multi-leg, so more and more use cases that we see out there in the industry. Our mobile, being able to extend screens, and various other really important additions to the product. And then future, really looking at 6 months or a little bit more out, you can see a lot of work on the agentic side, a lot of work on the employee productivity and workforce management side. You can see that our predefined integrations will do items to the suppliers, which we've talked about, and then quality as well. And you can see some of the other capabilities. They're expanding capabilities out of the yard and so on and so forth. Not to use up all your time.
Hopefully, we can go a few minutes more. I'll try to keep it quick. We started on the Redwood desktop migration over a year ago. We released our first desktop screens about a year ago. Since then, every release we've been adding more screens. There is a try the Redwood desktop experience in the main application, so we're not forcing you yet. And as of 26B, which is coming out next month, about 80% of the desktop screens are available in Redwood. And we are targeting completion by the end of the year. In 27A, we'd like the default to become Redwood, which is aligned with what Mary Beth was talking about for OTM yesterday. And we will give you the ability to revert back because change takes time, right? But this aligns with the rest of Oracle. And so this is the new, I don't want to say menuing system, but that's the closest analogy. The Redwood design folks don't like to call this the menu, but they call this the product map. It is different from our traditional menus. It's more like a 2-level thing. The design philosophy says that people more search for exactly what they want to use. So the idea is to type at the top so you can get what you want. But we have retained the ability to reuse your menus. We map that into something called a category, so that it makes it easier for you to migrate. So you don't have to do anything extra in order to create this. Your existing menus will map into this. So just to, Kunal talked about the Recon Workbench. This, I think, actually is a great example of showing the power of the Redwood system. So with that, I do have a little recorded demo. Let me see, where is the... Okay, so let me pause for a bit. So what the screen is showing you is at the top you have the different integration touch points where data is sent back and forth between the WMS and the ERP. In the main area, you see data that is related to that particular touch point and the particular entity, like the WMS PO, ASN, and so on. This also integrates with the other parts of the framework. So it connects to OIC, it connects to Fusion. I'm just going to let it play so you can watch it. It's not completely intended to be like a functional explanation of the app. It's also intended to show you what Redwood can do. So for example, you can click on the set of errors and it automatically filters the relevant errors for you. And you can click on the OIC link. It takes you into OIC and filters down on the specific errors in question. So these are things that normally people would have to do in a more roundabout way. And in certain other cases, you can directly drill into the Fusion screens. So what it's doing now is taking you into the Fusion screens related to the inventory transactions. So, and then at the bottom you have other related screens. The inventory discrepancy screen shows you the list of all the inventory with different columns for the WMS quantity and the ERP quantity, and it's only showing you any discrepancies. It lets you mark them, for example, so you can classify them as belonging to different categories of problems. So this is usually a tool that you'll really use during go lives and so on. So
This is the functional dashboard.
oh, okay.
This is the example of what I would expect that people work with.
Okay.
Actually, not in go live. This is a tool that you need.
Yeah, you can.
Monthly, right?
Yeah, you can use it pretty much over the course of any time. Yeah, I'm glad we included this demo. So yeah, it just gives you a good idea.
But also, maybe still stay in that reconciliation dashboard. When I was yesterday talking about using it with a logistics service provider, when I'm sending and using the same framework, by the way, the same CI technology framework and APIs, but are not externally exposed. Can I use this?
That's a great question. So this is, of course, built out of the box to work best with our Fusion integration.
Yeah.
But the architecture is designed so you can plug it into other integrations. So if you have a different backend ERP, so the way data flows in are all accessible for other mechanisms. You might have to do some additional work. So for example, with this, we ship some OIC packages that make all this work, which you won't have when you're using a different ERP. But you can build those things yourself, hook it up to your ERP, and make the data flow into these screens.
Because in that example, we have WMS internally, we're using that framework and having an external endpoint then to do the same. That's the vision, actually, and the roadmap.
Yeah.
Okay.
We still have a pretty good portion of our customers that use non-Fusion backends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but then it offers and solves 2 points. First of all, you cover the technology for the external communication methods, and you have also a functional way of dealing with certain transactions that go back and forth, right? So there's more tools around it that actually gives potential to use, right? So
yeah. Great. So a little bit about Redwood Mobile. Again, over a year ago, our traditional text-based RF, which has been around for a long time, which warehouse people love because it's high performant and so on. But we migrated that to a modern Redwood experience. And it also provided additional features like Kunal was talking about, the ability to take pictures, add attachments, and so on. It has evolved quite a bit, and as of early this year, any new customers that we provision, they don't get the traditional RF. They get Redwood Mobile. And we've had a lot of customers that have gone live with just Redwood Mobile. They're not using RF. And we have more and more customers that are going down that path. And we have announced about a year ago, we announced that RF is being retired next year across 3 cohorts. And we've been having conversations with customers. Initially, many were a bit concerned about this because they've been using their RF for years and years. But then we've proven, for example, we had a very large customer in South Africa that was worried, and we showed them that this is really extremely optimized. It uses a WebSockets layer in the background to pretty much retain the same efficiencies as a traditional Telnet SSH type of app. There's very little data going back and forth. It's extremely efficient. It works on pretty low bandwidth. So it is really turning out to be a good success story for us. Sorry, I had a question.
Additional, let's call it simple guns. Right?
Yeah.
So
These would work on, these days, I mean, 6-7 years ago, I think Symbol, Zebra, they all switched to Android operating systems. So they all come with Chrome, and this works great with Chrome. It is a PWA app in the sense you can install it as an icon on the device. You can launch it like a regular app, but it is not it's not a traditional app that you download from the App Store. So it's really just a URL that you download, but when you open it, it works like an app. There's no browser bar, URL bar or anything like that. It uses the full screen, works like a normal app.
And by the way, can people maintain the RF, the handhelds, right? Is there a kind of there's examples like Avalanche where you see what the device is doing and that they have the right version. So is there some control around people that use it?
I mean, you can use the MDM mobile device management software that those are third-party solutions to do that. So we don't manage that, but you certainly can do that. There are multiple vendors that can do that.
Okay, but not standalone.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's not something that normally you would get with the WMS, because you can manage more than just a WMS app on that device. You can manage other things. So.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, so another thing that we released is some customers and partners wanted to customize mobile applications. So for our RF, they've had screen scrape software that read the screens and then they have their own UI on top of it. Obviously, with RF going away, some folks were concerned. So last year we released a public API that exposes the Redwood Mobile backend. So using which customers and partners can do it a lot more reliably than screen scraping. Screen scraping is inherently unreliable. With this, it's a lot more solid, and you can rebuild your UIs using this. It does require quite a good amount of technical skill, so I just wanted to highlight that. It is not for the faint of heart, but if you're really fixated on customizing your mobile app, you can certainly do that, just the way that people were doing it with the screen scraping.
Is it like also before the default personalization that you can tweak what you see?
Well, that depends on how you customize. No, this is more, we are exposing the infrastructure for you to build the customer. Yeah. But the next one that I have, maybe what you're talking about. So this is a roadmap item. This is, so what we're working on currently is the ability for users to
create and edit their own transactions. So it's not intended to be something that supports every single thing that we do in Redwood Mobile. But let's say you have some. This is just a simple lock LPN example, which we can already do. But let's say this was not there in the application. You can use this feature to go build it pretty quickly within the WMS. It lives within the WMS. It's part of your menu. So it's a way to extend Redwood Mobile without doing something as complex as what we showed on the previous screen. Okay. I'm probably really over, so I'm gonna breeze through this.
Nobody's kicking us out. We're good.
Yeah.
Small groups.
I think there's a coffee break after this.
Yeah,
right?
there is a
I think
coffee
we
break,
work for a
so-
coffee break, yeah.
Yeah, fine.
I'm okay.
This is super interactive, so it's good.
So AI Studio, so AI Agent Studio, as you know, comes with Fusion. And we actually work closely with the AI team to make it integrate better with non-Fusion applications like WMS and OTM. WMS actually was the first non-Fusion application to closely integrate and also deliver agents in 26A. You don't need a Fusion subscription in order to access this. That's unfortunately the way it is, but you just need any pillar, any small subscription will do. But using that, you will be able to access our agents or any agents that you create. These are the three agents that we released in 26A. And you can launch the agents from the WMS. This is just a screenshot of how you can launch it from within the WMS. This is the inventory expiry assistant, which helps you find expired or near expired inventory and be able to lock and freeze it. A task and auto management assistant that lets you bump up priorities for orders that are at risk. If you're familiar with our digital assistant feature before, that is being supplanted by AI agent features. For obvious reasons, this is a lot more flexible.
Because just on that topic,
Yeah.
besides that this is an agent, anything with task management, that the priority that the task gets, and there's another task that would need to be updated automatically. Currently that's static, right? Or people need to do that. So, but this gives an opportunity to, let the system reprioritize, based on certain business needs.
Yes. So out of the box, what we deliver is the ability for you to prioritize them. We do identify the problematic ones, and that users will have to approve the reprioritization. But you can certainly take the template that we provide and modify the prompts to make it do other things that you would want. So you can certainly do that.
We also have on the roadmap, in the upcoming section, I believe, another feature which really takes this to the next level, being able to run a reprioritization engine based off of certain criteria in the background, where you can constantly make updates to your text.
So that's coming.
That's coming, yeah.
You don't need which version?
All right, so the Wave Research Advisor. So this is a pretty complex agent that we've released. It's to help you, it's the one level up above the summarization that Kunal showed a little while ago. So you can ask questions, you can figure out what happened to this particular order in this super large wave that I ran. What are some of the reasons why something happened or did not happen? And again, this is available as a runnable agent. It's not been released as a template, but we do have that on the plan to release as a template. And then finally, agentic applications. This is the latest feature in AI that Oracle announced earlier this week in AI World in London. And we are one of the first teams to release an agentic app along with OTM. So this is the Logistics Execution Command Center, which is a joint OTM and WMS app for customers that have implemented both.
So why are you calling it still Command Center? Why is that?
So there are certain, the names themselves come from certain categories that,
ECC.
say that again?
ECC, which was the ECC before, right?
Oh, was there an Oracle
Yeah.
product called? Okay, yeah, maybe, yeah.
Okay, maybe that's the reason why.
Could be.
Sorry.
In a later session with the OTM team, I am going to be showing a quick recorded demo of this a little bit later. And then this is a roadmap item, which Srini also mentioned, which is to give you another command center to let you manage your automation systems. So pull in data from across all of your systems and be able to identify problems, bottlenecks, and it'll suggest actions that you can take to resolve them. So we really think the agentic apps are a way to get to that higher level functional stuff that you were talking about. So we're really looking forward to adding more of these capabilities over time also. And I think that's it.